Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. First of all, thank you guys for your understanding last week. It was a trying night and all of that, but I'm sure you've seen my father's doing much, much better. You know, we were very blessed and fortunate for someone to be 91 years old and not, you know, take a fall and not break something or have something more serious happen. So again, thank you. I appreciate your understanding. Hopefully that'll be the only cancellation for the remainder of the course. But just in case something comes up and I have to either cancel or postpone again, anytime you come into Zoom, if there's not lots of other people there and I'm not there, be sure you read and check the announcements and the news forum in the course in Moodle, because that's where I do post stuff like that. Also, to make sure you're reading the instructor virtual office, because people ask questions there and either other students can respond or I'll respond, etc. And so hopefully, you know, you can use that information and we can stay on top of things. So basically tonight, there's 3 things that I'm hoping we can accomplish. Number one, I just want to kind of go over some things. And as I was looking at people's assignments, and I'll finish grading the rest of them tonight from week 2, some reminders that I need to give you. Then we're going to talk a little bit tonight about the presentation that you guys have access to and have hopefully already seen. And I'm just going to skim through that because, again, you can read. You've got a great textbook. There's lots of resources that you can be using. And then finally, I'm going to go over the assignment. That is the project, and I'm going to walk you through that. So hopefully we can get all done with all of that in our allotted time and maybe even a little bit early. And then, of course, we'll leave some time at the end for questions. So just a couple of things that I'm noticing about the assignments. Apparently, a lot of you guys have not ever had to, maybe in other classes, use the Turnitin feature. Turnitin is a tool that we use at LSUS to detect plagiarism. So, I'm sorry, excuse me. So anyway, I set parameters. So I always exclude things like your biography or your bibliography or reference page, direct quotes, things like that. But when you submit your assignment, Turnitin will go through and look at it, and they will give you suggestions. Maybe could be a spelling, it could be usage, etc. But they will also give you a percentage of plagiarism. So for example, if I uploaded somebody else's paper and I tried to submit it, Turnitin would come back and be like, your plagiarism percentage is, you know, 90% or 100% or whatever. So you can either accept that and then go ahead and submit, or you can go back and make any revisions or edits or whatever you need to do, then re-upload it and go through the Turnitin process and then hit final submit. So in essence, you're submitting twice, if that makes sense. So the first time it goes through the Turnitin process, you'll get a percentage back, and give you some feedback, I guess, and then you would hit submit again. Okay, does that kind of make sense now? Because I noticed about half of you guys turned everything in on time. That was fine, but you left it in draft version. So you have to actually hit submit twice in the process. Okay, do you guys have questions about that? If you do, just unmute and speak up.
I tried to do the Turnitin process and it kept telling me that I wasn't registered. Like it would continuously do the same thing.
That is really strange. I've never had that happen. So I would probably email ITS, our Instructional Technology Services Department, because it sounds like you may have a glitch in your system or something like that. So if you go to the LSUS, I'll just give you the number. Hang on one sec. So you can either call them at I'll type it in too, at 318-797-5221. And they're open Monday through Friday from between 8 and 4:30. Or you can actually file a ticket. And like I said, I'll put both of these in the chat feature for you guys. Okay, hang on one second.
How do we turn on that feature?
Yeah, somebody else asked that in the chat. You actually can't with the computer. You don't have to turn it on. It's something that should be automatic in your system. I'm the one that controls whether or not it's used. So since about half the class, turned it in correctly, or, and was able to do the full submission, it should be fine for everybody. If for some reason you're not seeing it pop up, then it's the same thing. Just file a ticket with the help desk, or you can call our IT services department. And like I said, I just put both of those in the chat for you. So if you need those, you can use them. Because it's not a huge deal. I mean, I grade drafts all the time, and I'm not going to get too sticky about it, but it is very helpful, specifically when you're getting into more of the projects or a longer paper or something like that, just to kind of know where you stand. Now, if you do, if I see that your percentage is kind of really strange or whatever, I usually will email you about it. And we'll talk. We can kind of talk through that privately. Okay.
I did it. It said that I didn't accept the user license, and I did accept it, but now it says that I didn't, and I don't know how to get it back.
Oh, okay. When you get ready to submit your next assignment, if for some reason it's still popping up with that message, it's the same thing. You're just going to have to call the help desk. And I may go in and for certain assignments, I may go in and let me try turning it off and then turning it back on, if that makes sense, and let it kind of reset. Okay. So I will do that as well. And I'll talk to IT and see what's going on with the turn it in stuff. Yeah, they've made a lot of supposed upgrades to Moodle, and it's just making things more complicated than normal. So just kind of bear with me. If for some reason, like I said, that you still get a weird message, just email me real quick and I'll see what's going on. Or I'll refer you back to the help desk or to IT. Okay? And then the other thing that I wanted to remind you about is some people, and I didn't know you could even do this. So when you submit your assignment, it's going to upload into Moodle. All you have to do is submit either a Word document or a PDF. Whatever the assignment is should be contained within that Word document, or if you're doing it in PDF, you can do that. But a lot of you, there's a section that comes up in Moodle, and let me see if I can show you guys what I'm talking about. Hang on. Let me get to my Moodle page. I'll share my screen with you. And mine's going to look a little bit different than yours, obviously, because, I have the instructor view. So, okay, so hopefully you're seeing my Moodle. Let me go back over here to grades. And I'll try to do this fast enough that nobody can actually see too much here. Sorry. Okay, let me just go to, I'm just going to randomly pick on somebody for a second. So hopefully I can find somebody I haven't graded yet. Hang on. Yeah, you can see I've got more than half of them done. Okay, so, and if Arion's with us, I'm sorry. I promise I'm not going to show you work. So anyway, this is the screen that comes up. You won't have the grade box, but apparently I didn't think you guys had this, but I guess they've changed it. You have this access to what's called feedback comments box right here. Some of you basically took your assignment and copied and pasted it over here. Don't do that. This is everything I need. So you can see here, Arion put in their assignment, everything's good. They've got a second page, all that's fine. This is what I use when I grade you, because I'm going to give you feedback on your assignment. So do not put anything over here, just upload what's here, okay? Does that make sense? Like I said, I was kind of surprised. I've never had that happen, so it must be some new weird feature they've done with Moodle. Who knows? Okay. Anything else, guys? Okay, then let's go ahead and I'm going to pull in and I'm going to share my screen with you again. And let's talk specifically. Sorry, I'm waiting on my computer to switch here. Let's talk specifically about a couple things. So I'm going to turn this on and let me share my screen again. And there it is. Okay. All right. So when you go into the actual week's assignments, and I'm sorry we didn't get through this sooner, but you will see it's basically always going to look the same. There's overviews and objectives. There's the assignment, There may be more than one. Here's the information on the Zoom meeting. And then there's a folder called Documents and Resources, or sometimes I call it Resources and Documents. It's all the same thing. And you'll notice, now this is grayed out because you can't see it yet. I'm going to open it up hopefully tonight for you. You will see how this all looks. It's all basically the same. A lot of people do not take the time to look at the overview and objectives. Please make sure you do that because there's important information in here. There can be a video, there oftentimes is, but you will also see a listing of your assignments as far as your reading and things like that. And then there may be some additional videos here that I would like for you to watch, okay? Sometimes this is different than what you're going to see posted in that weekly schedule of assignments and stuff that I sent to you guys before class started. And it's also posted in the welcome section of the course. Because sometimes I go back and look and I'm like, that's not really what I want to talk about this week or want them to do. So this is where you're going to find the most current and correct information. It also talks about if you have a discussion forum or a reflective essay. Now remember from the syllabus, on odd numbered weeks, you will have a discussion forum and not a reflective essay. During the even numbered weeks, you will have a reflective essay, but not a discussion forum. And then you can have one or more other assignments. The only time that we vary from that schedule is in the final week of the course. We don't have a Zoom meeting. You won't have I don't remember if you have a discussion forum or not. You may or may not have a discussion forum, but if you do, it's usually something really simple. And I don't think I require you to, I'm not going to require you guys to respond to anybody, okay? So this is very, very, very critical, okay? And here I give you a summary. So you've got an individual assignment, case study number 1, that's going to be due on August the 2nd. I will be very honest with you. I used to make this. I just realized there's a mistake in here too. I need to fix that, sorry. It's not due July 26th, it's due August the 2nd. So this used to be a group assignment, but people kind of freaked out about trying to do groups virtually, which I think is really kind of ironic since we've all been teaching and working virtually. You know, having a group assignment probably set those students up pretty well to collaborate with others in cyberspace, but whatever. I've now made it an individual assignment. But if you have somebody in class, a coworker or a friend, or you just want to reach out to somebody and you guys want to work on this stuff together, I am fine with that. This is, after all, a course about professional learning communities, which is all about collaboration. So if you want to collaborate, go for it. It's really more about what you learn and not the fact that, you know, ooh, I worked with somebody else, okay? So the case study, you have 2 options on how you want to complete this assignment. You can do what's called the PowerPoint presentation and alignment crosswalk, and I'm going to walk you through that in great detail here in a minute. And then you can also, or you can do the video presentation and the alignment crosswalk. Either assignment is fine with me. Just make sure that if you're doing the PowerPoint, that you use APA style, in that you may have in-text citations on your slides, and then also include the references you used as a slide at the end of the PowerPoint. Okay. If you're doing the video presentation, you will need to also submit, just as a Word document or whatever, your reference page. Obviously, you're not going to do in-text citations because if it's a video, you know, that doesn't really work, but I do still want the references page. Also, too, when we get to our first true reflective essay where I ask you a series of questions and you respond, make sure you are using correct APA style. And I posted in the Instructional Virtual Office, there's a great resource called Purdue OWL, and I actually put in the Instructor Virtual Office a link to that will help you with APA. Now, when you're doing an assignment, I don't want an abstract. You don't have to worry about that. You can do a cover sheet if you want, but if you don't, that's fine too. Just make sure that your name is on the assignment, even though you post it under your name. Sometimes it can get a little bit jumbled for me when I'm going through, because we have 70 people in the class, so it is quite a bit of grading and stuff. And then always make sure, like I said, you're using APA style for in-text citations and then a reference or bibliography page, okay? questions, concerns about that part? And now, before we actually look at the meat of the assignment. Okay, awesome. So let me get back to the main page here. Oh, and somebody asked me, see, I'm going to read this. Is a score of 0 and turn it in okay? Yeah, that's awesome. That just tells me that that is completely original work. So yes, that's fine. Like I said, the only time we get concerned is, you know, my threshold for turn it in and plagiarism is 15%. If you get a 21 or 22% or whatever, you know, don't freak out. It's really just kind of look at it and be thoughtful. And if you have questions, just email me and we'll figure it out, okay? All right, so, and then APA 6 or 7, APA 7 is preferred, but like I said, it's not like this is your dissertation or anything. So if you use APA 6, yeah, I'm not gonna penalize you at all. And then somebody said you couldn't pull up the second video for week 3. Let me tell you what I'll do is I'll post the actual link. I'll put that in the instructor virtual office, okay? So the second video. That's weird because I checked all those today and they worked fine for me. But like I said, I have a different level of access than you guys did. So yeah, so it's week 3, second video link. I'll put that in, like I said, the instructor virtual office. I'll do that right after I finish teaching tonight. Okay, awesome. All right, then let's look specifically at your assignments for this week. So again, bear with me guys, I'm gonna do some screen sharing. Let me just get this moving. Okay, remember my screen always looks a little bit different than yours, but you will notice that when I go into module 3, I'm gonna click on the assignment. And here is what you're gonna be posting. So pretty simple, you did this great in week 1. There's a question, and then of course you need to respond. And as you can see, we've already got a lot of people who have responded. So pretty simple. So the way that, in case you're struggling, the way that I would do this is I would just click on add a new discussion, make sure I put in here my title, and then I'm gonna do my response, and then I'm gonna post it to the forum. Now let's say that I needed to do some responses to other students. So let's say I'm going to respond to, hang on, I gotta get out of this just a second. Okay, so I'm going to respond to Lindsay, and it's not going to work for me tonight, is it? Okay, you should theoretically be able to click on one of these. Let me try it this way and see if it works. So like I said, mine is different. And so let's say that I'm reading Summer's post, and so I can just click on reply, and as you can see, we've had people reply to Summer already. Okay. Questions, concerns? Like I said, it's pretty simple. You guys have done great with it, so I just wanted to make sure there wasn't any big issues for anybody. Okay. Let me go back to the week. So this is the assignment that everybody just loves so much. Now, unfortunately, like I said, it always takes me into grading and submission, so I'm not going to go through all that. But there are 2 parts to this, okay? So the first part is, when I pull it up, called Individual Assignment Case Study. And remember, this is due on August the 2nd. Sorry, I gotta switch to share this with you now. Hang on. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Hang on. Okay. Okay. So, as you can see on here, you have 2 options, like we talked about. You can either do a PowerPoint and the alignment crosswalk, which I'm going to walk you through in a minute, or you can do a video. So here it says you're going to create a 15 to 20 slide PowerPoint, no more than 25. I think somewhere else it says 25, but if you can do this in 15, hallelujah, do it. That's fine. It's not about length, it's about quality of the information you include. And then you will see there are 7 questions that you will put into your PowerPoint. So, you know, my slide might say at the top, what's the purpose of the PLC? And then I'm going to give some bullet points about what the purpose is, maybe give an example to justify my answer, etc. So in the PowerPoint, you're going to answer these 7 questions, okay? Then you're going to also create and do the crosswalk, which I'll show you here in a moment. But when you finish, You're going to upload your PowerPoint presentation in Moodle, and you're also going to submit your crosswalk. You should be uploading 2 separate documents, the PowerPoint and then the assignment crosswalk template, which I'm going to walk you through in a minute. Okay, so very simple. The other option that you can do is you can, there it goes. You can do a video presentation. So you can get on your webcam or your iPhone or whatever you want to do and record a video. The video should be about 2 to 3 minutes, which I know doesn't sound like very much, but trust me, when you're creating a video, 3 minutes can seem like an eternity. And it's the same process. You're going to answer these 7 questions in your video and just talk about them or whatever. And then you're also going to do the crosswalk assignment. Okay? Then the way that you submit this assignment, you can make, I've got one way listed here, but technically you can do either one. So you can either upload your video into, like if you have a YouTube channel or a YouTube account, you can upload it into YouTube. You can also upload it in Kaltura, Google Drive, I believe, is another place you can do this. And then share the link to me. So if I were submitting this assignment, I would just get just on a Word document or PDF, I would just put the link to the video. And then upload that document in Moodle along with your crosswalk, okay? If you don't have a YouTube channel and you want to, you can go to YouTube, just type in Tracy Johnson, and you'll see my picture and all of that. You can then upload your video to my YouTube channel and it'll give you a link. Just do the same thing and take that link from YouTube, put it on a piece of paper to upload into Moodle. Does that make sense? And in worst case scenario, guys, with anything, if you can't get it to work for you, just email it to me. I don't want everybody to email me because I get a bazillion emails every single day and I struggle sometimes to get through them. But worst case scenario, like I said, if you're having problems and it's freaking you out, don't freak out. Just email it to me and I can grade them that way. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, let me close this out and stop sharing for a second. And let me see. Okay, so let me go back over here and pull up the crosswalk. Oops, went too far. Sorry about that. Okay. Now I'm going to tell you right now, and it's funny, every time I teach this course, I end up telling people almost the exact same thing about this particular assignment. Which for some reason will not open for me. Hang on one second. Sorry, guys.
Can you speak more to what a crosswalk is?
Yeah, a crosswalk is a term that some school districts are doing. That basically, it's I don't know. I guess the best descriptor of it, I would think, is. Hang on one second. Sorry, guys. Let me just share real quick while I answer that question. So a crosswalk is a tool. It's somewhat like a graphic organizer that you maybe use with your students or you've seen in the past. But it's a document that shows how there is alignment between various things, okay? So it's used a lot of times in curriculum mapping or when you're developing curriculum from a standard or even when you're going to do a lesson plan and you're trying to plan for a standard. So there's not a set template necessarily. The template is created to best meet the task you're trying to do. Does that make sense? Okay. So, for example, this crosswalk is one that I have used many times in my work as an assistant superintendent when I was actually leading curriculum writing for my school district. I've also used it as a principal when I was trying to help teachers do a better job of unit and lesson planning. I've trained people on it, etc. I like this particular template a lot because one of the things that I think is most critical that is not happening in most schools and most districts is there has to be tight alignment. And when I say tight alignment, it's all got to match up between curriculum, instruction, and assessment. Now, I refer to that as the CIA triad. So if you think about a triangle, you've got curriculum on one point, you've got instruction on the next point, and then on your final point, you've got assessment. So if the curriculum is not teaching what's being assessed, you have a problem. If what you're instructing in the classroom is not aligned to the curriculum, which should be aligned to the assessment, that's where you get issues. So this particular tool is one of the first things that I know when I was both the campus leader and the assistant superintendent, we would pull out before we would start any kind of curriculum process planning or even unit and lesson planning. So this is a really, hopefully a helpful template that you'll like and that you can use across, various things. Now, what seems to be tripping everybody up is the fact that you have this first page, which gives you 2 examples. Then you'll notice on the second page, there's tons of information. And the third page, these are all examples. Because like I said, people sometimes just need to see a model of what needs to be done. So I've given you tons and tons and tons of examples. So this is from Idaho. Here's their standard number. If you pull that, if you go to the Idaho, state standards or whatever they call it, you type in NQ.1, you will see what comes up as their standard. And you can kind of put it together from here. So basically the idea is that students are going to explore and use scientific food evaluation methods. And how are they going to do that? Is by calculating metric measurements. These are just examples, guys. If they don't help you, ignore them. If they do help you, great. But I've given you, like I said, a gazillion different examples, okay? So like I said, you don't have to do anything with all of these, nothing. They're just there for your benefit. The only thing you're going to fill out is this page right here, the first page that has 2 examples on it. Very simple. Make sure you put your name on it, give me a date, and then you're going to choose a standard. I don't care where you get your standard. You could choose a standard from Texas or Idaho or Louisiana. If you're in the UK, choose one from there. It doesn't matter. What I want you to do with this is we're going to look at and learn how to dissect or unpack, a lot of districts use that verbiage, a standard so that we know exactly what that standard is asking us to do. Okay? So bear with me for a second and I'm going to pull up standards here. And I'm going to pick on Texas because I actually have those bookmarked. PEA, hang on one sec. I'm going to Texas Education Agency. I'm not looking up anybody's certificate. We've got academics, and we're going to pull up the Texas Knowledge and Skills. And let's work on an English language arts standard. All right. So I'm going to stop sharing this particular screen for a minute. I'm going to share my other one here. Okay. So this is the Texas Education website, hopefully that you're seeing. And every state has something like this. Just go to the state education agency and you can search for standards or personally, if I were doing this, I would choose my standards for my grade level that I'm working in now. Or if you're in a campus leadership position, if you're at the high school, you probably want to look at some high school standards. If you're at the middle school, etc. So, but let's say for Texas, we're going to keep it fairly simple today, and we're going to look at the standards for grade 1. I'm just going to click on that, and lo and behold, look what I get, a ton of information. Now, if you think about this from a teaching perspective, if I just hand these standards to my teachers and I say, go forth and plan curriculum and do your lesson planning, this could be very overwhelming. And what we found is that a lot of times the reasons that students are not doing as well on state assessments or other measures that we would like for them to do is, at the most core fundamental level, teachers did not understand the standard. So when you're dealing with standards, punctuation matters, and a deep understanding of exactly what they're asking you to do is critically important. So for example, let's say this is grade 1, English Language Arts, I don't worry about any of this stuff right now. That just kind of gives you an introduction to it. But I'm going to go specifically to standards. So here's the first standard that I see. Standard number 1, which is developing and sustaining foundational language skills, listening, speaking, discussion, and thinking oral language. Okay? The student is expected to, and you'll notice there's A, B, C, D, and E. This number 1, which is sort of the descriptor of the standard, is too broad to effectively address. So what I'm going to look at instead is I'm going to look at 1, and then number 1, and then one of these letters. So I'm just going to pick 1A. So that says to listen actively, ask relevant questions to clarify information, and answer questions using multi-word responses. So when I say punctuation matters, it's not your punctuation, it's the punctuation used in this standard. So you will notice every time there is a comma, it's a different skill students are needing to learn, or it's a different set of knowledge that we need students to understand. So this seems very simple, 1A, right? Not too bad. Actually, what it's telling me is that I need my students to develop knowledge and skills to listen actively, so that's one part, to ask relevant questions to clarify information, so that's a second part, and then to answer questions using multi-word responses, that's a third skill. So you see why the punctuation is so critically important? Far too often, even our best teachers, even those that are really rock stars, they don't understand this. And they try to teach standard 1 and do all of these things in 1 or 2 lessons. But if you really look at it, you can see this is much more complex than we would expect. Now, what does that mean in terms of completing this lovely little template that I shared with you? Okay, so I'm going to stay on. I'm going to move back over to the template real quick. And I'm going to show you exactly how we fill that out. Okay, now I can still see my standards. You can't, unfortunately, unless you want to Google it and pull it up. So what am I going to do? And you'll notice that I'm going to have a total of 6 standards, okay? I want you to do 2 standards that come from these resources, ISSLC, if you don't know what these mean, don't worry about it, SLLA, these are actually teacher standards. Etc. And I've given those to you in the documents and resources folder, and I'll show you what those are here in a minute. Then I want you to do at least 4 student state academic standards. So everybody's been asking, where do I get the student standards? Do a Google search, guys. It's really simple. And like I said, just pull it up. Ideally, I would do something that's going to be applicable to me so I can actually use this when I get back to school. But if you don't, or if you're not in a teaching position, just choose a state. And if you struggle with that, let me know and I'll send you some links. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to start first with my student standard, the one that I just read to you, okay? So what are the verbs in here? Well, I know it's listen, it's going to be ask, and it's going to be answer. Those are the things that the students are going to be expected to do. They're going to be asked to listen. They're going to be expected, excuse me, to listen, to ask, and to answer. What's the adjective? Well, we know adjectives are, they describe nouns. So what are going to be my adjectives? Relevant. Okay. That's really the only adjective in there. Well, we could also put in there multi-word responses. Now, if I'm not asking you to do a sentence diagram or whatever, guys. I'm not going to get too hung up on if you put something in that's an adjective that's really an adverb. I'm not going to get too upset about that. That's not the point. The point is I want you to break this down into pieces. So, what is the object that they're supposed to be doing? Well, the whole idea is to get them to clarify, which actually should be a verb, but so it's basically information in the standard. Okay, and I'm going to move and put clarify over here too. Okay. So really, it's all about information. So when they're given information, we're going to ask them to listen, ask questions, answer, clarify. We're going to make sure that it's relevant, and they're going to give us multi-word responses. Now, over here where it says type of PLC or PLC activity, this is where you get to just be creative and basically make it up. So the standard I focused on was in grade 1, and it was an English language arts standard. So in my mind, the group that's most equipped to do this might be the first grade team. First grade team teachers, okay? What am I going to ask them to do? What is going to be their activity or their product that comes out of that meeting? You tell me. It could be any number of things. It could be a unit plan. It could be a lesson plan. It could be a crosswalk. It could be an assignment. It's really up to you guys. There's no right or wrong answer on this part. It's just what you think would best do this. Then I'm going to come over here and I'm just going to list the standards. So when I look at this, I can pull these up. So I know I'm in Texas, ELA, grade 1, and this is standard 1 dot or 1 header is in here. Okay, Texas ELA, grade 1, standard 1A. Very, very simple because this is a state standard. Okay, makes sense? All right, let me pull up real quickly. Sorry, I think I went too far. Let me pull up what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the national standard. So I'm going to stop sharing for a second. I'm going to share again, guys. Sorry, lots of maneuvering going on here. Okay. All right, so back in Moodle, so I'm going to come down here to my Documents and Resources folder. And you will see, because remember I told you up here, here's all the national standards you can choose from. So you will see here's the ILLSC standards. Here's the LA Louisiana standards for meters. Here's the LA Louisiana standards for teachers. Here's the MBTS, what teachers should know. Here's SLLA standards. Here's some more on the ISSLC. You can choose whichever ones you want. So let's say that I'm in that leadership, and I may end up taking the SLL exam, so that probably would be kind of helpful to me to understand. So I'm going to click on that. Okay, so this talks about the test. Okay, so that's one piece of it. But then you'll notice here there are some particular standards. Okay, so I'm going to close this one out. I'm actually going to take you to, sorry, I can't see in here. Take you to a different standard. Sorry about that. That was my error. So, because that's just the overview. Where's my SLA? Not seeing them in here. I'm going to have to come back and put them. Let's just use this one. We'll do the Louisiana standard.
So we need 2 from this area, correct?
Yes. 2 from this area. Sorry, I don't know why it's not opening. Hang on. Oh, there it goes.
Are these the standards we also use in the PowerPoint for question number 4?
Yes, they are.
Okay, good. Okay.
You're a little bit ahead of me, but you're right on track.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Okay, so here's the standards. Sorry, I'm trying to share again. So again, I'm just going to pick, you know, any one of these standards. So this is all about approvals and prep programs and stuff like that. You don't care anything about all that. So I'm going to keep going until I get to the standards. Okay, so right here, you've got, this is under letter A. The teacher education program provides candidates at both the initial and advanced levels with knowledge and skills in the Louisiana reading competencies and the curriculum process. So you'll notice that there's unacceptable, acceptable, and target in this. So I would take this part right here. That's my first part of my standard, along with that part of it, okay? And I would do the exact same thing. Find my verbs. So we've got provides. We've got, sorry, utilize. Okay? And we're going to impact. Technically, that's preposition phrase. Okay? So then what are my adjectives? Well, again, it's going to be education, because that's describing the program. And I'm not going to walk through all of these guys, but, you know, reading competencies, etc. But the object is that the whole idea is that they want teachers to have advanced level knowledge and skills to utilize the Louisiana reading competencies in K-12. And then ultimately that's going to impact student learning. Okay? Like I said, don't get hung up and don't overthink this when we're talking specifically about the crosswalk, okay? I'm not grading you, excuse me, I'm not grading you on, can you guys see the crosswalk now? I can always tell what I'm sharing and what I'm not. Hang on one second, let me make sure I've got it. Okay. So like I said, I am not grading you on these specific elements in terms of, you know, is it grammatically correct? That's not the point. And I'm sorry, I've lost the ability to share. What's going on here? Just one second. Why don't my meeting controls? I hate when this happens. And get back to you guys. Not why you down. Cancel. I'm sorry. Okay, but anyway, so I've given you an example in the first page of the national standard from ISSLC, and then my second example is for a state standard for students from Louisiana. So the only things I'm going to fill out on the form, two national standards, 4 state standards. You choose wherever you want to get the state standards from. And then you can also use the standards I've posted in here for the national ones, or you can also do a search and pull up other ones, okay? It doesn't have to be something I've given you. So once you do that, you're gonna do the PowerPoint, you're gonna fill this out, and then like Ainsley just said on question number 4, and if you're doing the PowerPoint, you're going to choose one of the 6 standards you did on the crosswalk to basically just break it down. And you're going to give me some ideas of your thought process and how you did this and what that might look like in real time and in a real classroom. So going again back to, hang on one more time, guys, sorry, I'm going to see if I can possibly get this big enough that I can share again. Not like me today. Sometimes you are my worst enemy. Sorry guys, I apologize. I'm just trying to close out some things and really let me share again. So anyway, you're just going to give me some ideas. So for example, the one we just walked through from Texas about listening, asking, answering, and clarifying information so that students can respond effectively to multi-word type questions. You know, what I might put in my PowerPoint is, I chose this standard, and then I would list the standard, and then I would say, in terms of having students clarify information, these are the type of activities that I may want to do in my classroom, or my PLC group, or whatever, okay? So just make it relevant and real to what you're actually doing. Does that make sense at all? I hope.
Yes. Can I ask another question? I'm sorry.
Of course.
You said any one of these 6, so it doesn't have to be a national standard. We can pick a state standard to do for the PowerPoint as well?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, in your PowerPoint, I just pick one of 6. I have no, there's no specific one that I want you to do.
Can you repeat what you said about question 4?
Okay, so if you remember when you go back to the actual assignment, here's what's my problem, thank you. Okay, I figured it out. So if you go back to the actual assignment, let me pull this up again real quick, guys, sorry. Okay, sorry, I do apologize, guys. I hate doing all this, so it keeps coming up. Okay, so let me share if I can again. Hang on, sorry, close that out. Okay, where did it go? Where did it go? Okay, now let me see if it's going to let me share. I don't think it's going to. But when you get, remember there's 7 questions that you have to answer in your PowerPoint or your video. Question number 4 says, which standard may be obtained using professional learning communities as a structure or tool? Pick one, because they should all be done all 6 should, be talked about and worked on in the professional learning community. Then you're going to give me more detail. Question number 5, what kind of PLC? Like we just talked about, is it a grade level team? Is it going to be a central office team? Is it going to be interdisciplinary? You tell me. You're just making that up in terms of you're thinking about what's going to make the most sense. Then you're going to tell me in number 6, how will a PLC meet these standards? So be specific. We're going to design a unit, and then we're going to meet every 3 days to talk about progress towards the standard and the unit and whatever. And then number 7, how will you know if that particular PLC is effective? So give me some ideas on how you're going to gauge and monitor the actual effectiveness. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
I'm sorry. Yes, it did. Thank you.
You're welcome. Go ahead. Does somebody else have a question? Okay, I see in the chat room too that somebody wanted to know, is the discussion question assignment and the 3 responses due tonight? No. Your assignments are always going to be due by 11:30 p.m. Central Standard Time on Sunday of that week. So I believe this Sunday is the 26th. So that's when your discussion stuff is due. I encourage you to do it sooner, because if you're one of those people who do it really super early and nobody else is doing it, you can't do your 3 responses. Does that make sense? So the earlier you do it, the better, but no, you don't have to do it until the due date time. And yes, I did record this tonight. I actually remembered. So yes, I'll post that. What I do when I record the Zoom meetings, I will go back into week 3 module and I'll post the actual recording there for you. Then I usually send it out as well through news forums, so you can get it either way. But yeah, definitely, I will get those to you. So Casey wants to know on the PowerPoint, questions 4 through 7 are specific to a standard and how that relates to a professional learning community. Yes, that is correct. Questions 1 through 3 are general and absolutely just kind of research based. So 1 through 3, it's just give me some information about what you know. Make sure that you include examples and justify your answers. Cite research, whatever. This is graduate level work, guys. But then questions 4 through 7 are specifically about the one of the 6 standards you chose to do in the crosswalk. You're just going to do a deeper dive into one particular standard to answer questions 4 through 7. Oh, and Amira, I hope I'm saying that right. Is it Amira or Amira? Amira? Do you have to respond back to the people who reply to you? No, you don't have to. But sometimes you might want to. Students have come, it's kind of funny when I'm reading these because, they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that, you taught where I went to elementary school or, whatever. So sometimes it's just a fun kind of thing to get to know each other. But no, you're not required to do that. Okay. Anything else? So I apologize that we didn't really get into the PowerPoint tonight. I'm just going to pull it up real super fast here and see if I can get it to share with you guys. Probably not, because sometimes Zoom hates me. And it's not seem to be one of those nights. Let me try this one more time. So hopefully you can see it. Okay. So anyway, I'm not going to go through all of this because you guys are, fun people. You can definitely, guess I don't want to do that actually. Sorry. Okay. We may not even get to do this. Hang on. Sorry guys, I just lost part of my screen. So I'm not going to walk you through this. I just need to unshare somehow along the way here. Okay. So before we close it out for the night, any questions, comments, concerns?
I had one more question about the Turnitin. I wasn't quite. I know what the Turnitin. I know Turnitin and how it works, but I don't know if it. When I did my uploaded my assignment Saturday, I did it like I normally do in the other classes I've had, and I didn't understand what it meant about doing it twice or just a little confused.
Yeah, and I wish I could show you, but unfortunately I don't have the student screen. Well, you know what? Actually, I do. But then again, I'm getting into this crazy stuff that I can't actually share anything right now because my computer is just gone crazy on me. But yeah, it's when you hit submit, you should get a screen that says turn it in. And it should give you some information. Then down at the bottom of that screen, it'll say submit. So even though you've submitted it, you get that turn it in screen, you still have to hit submit on that screen as well. So that's what I mean by you'll hit submit twice.
Yeah, I don't think I saw anything with the turn it in. I've used turn it in before. It's been years, but I don't remember seeing that. So
Okay.
I'll check with IT.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's entirely possible. But before you check with IT, let me go back in and double check because, like I said, they've done all of this new stuff to Moodle, and so it's very possible that they changed something, and I just need to go back in and update it. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay.
Question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so once we did the PLC, turned that in, and then we
Are you
responded.
still there?
Yes. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Now I can. Sorry, like I said, I don't know what's happened to my computer all of a sudden. I can't. Will you repeat what you were saying?
Okay. So once we do the PLC forum and we respond to 3 people, that's all we have for this week. And the next thing that we have that's due is that case study number 1, PowerPoint or video with the crosswalk, correct?
Yes, that's correct. And that's not due until week 4, but also in week 4, you do have a reflective essay.
That you haven't opened yet, correct?
I haven't opened yet. That's correct.
Okay, just making sure. I'm sorry. With school maybe starting and maybe not starting, things are so crazy right now.
Oh, trust me, I understand. So, and I just want to reiterate again, guys, you do not get hung up about these assignments. Like I said, I'm not looking for dissertations. I'm not looking for, this really complex, convoluted kind of work. It's really all about practical application and getting in there and kind of getting your hands dirty with some of these tools and ideas. So, because ultimately what I want you to be able to do is to take this and go, you know what, in my next PLC at my school, whether it's a team meeting or whatever, I can bring some of these tools in and actually use them, okay? And also too, I know school's about to start and it's insane for me too right now. Because one day we're doing face-to-face classes at LSUS, and the next day they're like, well, we're going to do some now online, and some, it's just a mess. And I'm for the undergraduate level anyway. So I'm not hung up on due dates, guys. I'm slower to respond than I like to be because I'm just absolutely inundated right now. But I will give you as much grace as you can. My only issue is just don't wait until the very, very end. Because it'll snowball on you and it's kind of hard to catch up at that point. Any other questions? Okay, guys, well, we went kind of long tonight. I'm sorry we spent all of our time talking about the assignment, but I know it's one that tons of people have questions about. So hopefully we got everything kind of answered for you. And if you still have questions, I would encourage you to post those in the instructor virtual office so that everybody else probably has the same questions as you, so that everybody can see the response. But you can also always email me. Okay. All right. Any more questions? All right, then I'm going to give you guys 3 minutes of your life back tonight. It's 6:57. So I'm going to try to end the meeting if I can get my computer that is frozen to allow me to do so. But if not, you guys are welcome to go ahead and log off. So I'll see you guys next week, and I will try to get stuff opened and graded and finished up for you guys in the next day or so. Okay? Y'all have a good one. Thanks.